أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to our respected viewers, and I would like to welcome you on our Muharram series with me on Hidayat TV on our Youth Matters program, Youth and Karbala, with me, your host Sakina Habib. So I would like to extend my heartiest condolences to each one of you on the commemoration of the holy month of Muharram. And as you know that when Muharram starts, it is like a fresh new start in our lives, because we are renewing our souls, and we are bringing a transformation and a change within. And so this is all about renewing our spirit and trying to improve ourselves in the best ways possible. However, this change should not be just limited to the holy month of Muharram and Safar, but we should carry it throughout in our lives, and we should have the right niyat and the right sincerity throughout, so that we can maintain the values that were taught to us by the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and the values that have been liberated to us by Imam al Hussain alayhi salam, under whose name we attend these majalises, and we show love and compassion. And so really what means to us is that we should take back those teachings from these lectures, from these mosques, from these Hussainiyas, and try to apply them in our practical lives as much as possible. Now, for these upcoming, 8 to 9 days, I thought that it would be very beneficial, as well as educational, and something that will really add to your knowledge, if I could, share the attributes of the noble, which is called the Awsaf al Ashraf. And this can be found in this amazing book, which you can take a look at, is shared on the screen. So this book is called Awsaf al Ashraf, and it is written by Sheikh Khwaja Nasir ad-Din at-Tusi. And you can find it on alislam.org as well. The content is amazing, and there is so many practical points that one can take from, that are related to the lives of our Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam, and how to basically live our lives, in the right path and in the right way, by taking examples from, these ulamas and from the philosophers, basically. So after writing the book entitled Nasirian Ethics, Akhlaq al-Nasiri, which discusses the noble dispositions and the sound policies of moral conduct according to the way of the Hukama philosophers, the writer of this treatise and the author of this discourse, Muhammad al-Tusi, had it in his mind to write a concise treatise describing the ways of the awliya and the methods of the seers according to the principles of the wayfarers of the path and the seekers of the truth. And today, when we are looking at the situation around the world, right, with the current crisis that's going on, really the battle is about truth and falsehood. And at the same time, we need to make the right decision, like which path to choose during these times, and to make the right decisions. And it is also a battle of the heart and the mind, because when we are reading certain narratives, we can just get back to the normal screen now. So when we are reading the normal narratives, the headlines and the news, and it really sort of perplexes our minds into understanding that what is the right information, and what should I believe. So based on all these narratives, one needs to really strengthen their faith, their iman, their intention, and their sincerity, and support the right message and follow the right leader, the right wali, who has been divinely appointed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now, when one becomes aware of their deficiency, it is a natural thing. Like when you become aware of your deficiency, then there arises in his inner being a yearning to seek perfection. So now you want to seek that sort of perfection in your life, and you want to reach that level of the highest, perfection, basically, to as a human being, just to be a normal, good human being. You want to seek that level. So this, is a good way that I'm gonna be sharing with you on how we can achieve. There are certain steps. First, the guidance for this journey and that which is necessary for the journey to be made. And this is similar to the provisions that one needs for a physical journey. Second is overcoming the hindrances and obstacles in the way of the journey. So it's just like when we are planning for a trip somewhere, and you've been told that you're going to go on this long trip, for example, by road, or even, okay, you're using maybe the air or something. But like, you will prepare yourself, your physical needs. What are some of the requirements, for example, in terms of food, in terms of to keep you hydrated, to carry a medical kit in case of emergency. So this is step one. And then step two is, for example, if there is an emergency situation, how can you overcome those problems, those hindrances and obstacles in the way of the journey? And then third is making the movement, which takes one from the starting point to the destination. And it consists of wayfaring and the states of the wayfarer during its course. So now you have to take that action on how to apply things practically, right? Rather than just having the knowledge in your mind. So, looking into these aspects today, the topics that we are going to be discussing are intention and sincerity, as you can see on the screen as well. Now, when we talk about intention, whenever the month of Muharram, approaches us, like, we have to be very ready mentally as well as spiritually with the right intention. So there are a couple of questions that people ask, as in, what is the point of commemorating this Azadari every year? Like, why do Shias do this? Why do you people do this? It doesn't make any sense, because this is something that happened 1,400 years back, and it's like a history. It's in the past. There is really no point of mentioning it again and again. And then you guys are crying and beating your chests and everything. These are, okay, very valuable, valid and understandable questions. But the point is that, you see, the events of Ashura, the events of Karbala, is not just history. It's not something that was just written in the books for people to just read, just like whatever happened in the past in terms of, for example, World War I, or the Renaissance, the period of Renaissance, or the politics that took place, and all of that. We keep reading so much. So it's not just, okay, whatever things happen. No, this is something that is filled with emotions. Okay, so you see, these were humans as well. Okay, the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam also had feelings and emotions. And we can see an example of Bibi Zainab salamullahi alaiha, that the time when she had to basically heal all the women around her, the pain that these women were going through after losing their family members, their sons, their husbands, their children on the battlefield. They didn't just like take it in like some saints and some normal, superheroes, and just moved on so easily. No, they went through emotions. It was a whole process of emotions. They wept, and it took them a lot of time of healing. So it is a message and an example for us in a similar way, that we as humans, are allowed to express these feelings of sadness in the form of mournings. Today, the mournings that we are, commemorating is all a part of this. So we should keep in mind that this Azadari has a lot of meaning to it. and that Imam Hussein alayhi salam sacrificed his life to keep the message of Islam alive. And very importantly is the intention bit. So there is this verse from the Holy Quran that I would like to recite, which really makes us understand about our intentions. It says, قُلْ إِنَّ صَلَاتِي وَنُسُكِي وَمَحْيَايَ وَمَمَاتِي لِلَّهِ رَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. And if you would recall, this is also a small dua that can be recited on a regular basis. It is highly recommended if you do. It says, the translation is that, say, O Muhammad, indeed, my prayer and my worship, my living and my dying are for God, the Lord of the worlds. So, Niya means intention, and intention is a link between knowledge and action. So, this is the starting point of this holy month of Muharram. So, day one of Muharram, try to apply this intention in your life from right now by making this link. So when you're going to these majalises, make that intention that I'm doing this to make Imam Hussein happy and his family as well, and I'm making God happy. And it really doesn't matter, how people judge you, or they say, oh, but yeah, like, you're not a great servant of God, like you don't worship, full time, like you're not someone maybe perhaps who prays all the time. And those things are, of course, very essential and obligatory. They are our farais. We have to do them. But that doesn't undermine or underestimate your value of being an azadar of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, because you are invited by Imam Hussein alayhi salam to these majalises, and this is actually a platform or a channel to basically ask for your forgiveness and try to improve yourself now. So the things that perhaps we haven't been doing, right now is the time to act upon them and bring those changes. And such being the case, intention by itself is better than action when taken alone. So, for example, niyat al-mu'min khayrum min amalih, that the believer's intention is sometimes better than his words. How many times have we seen people who promise us with things that are basically false? So we really need to be careful sometimes about our language and our promises and our words that we're using as well, because if you make a promise to a Muslim brother or sister and you do not fulfill it, again, your intention was not right from the beginning. There was something wrong, and you're basically hurting this person, and you're showing him and telling this person that you're not a priority, you're not important for me, and that they don't basically respect you in a way. So it's very important that if you give a word to someone, try to fulfill it, because you made an intention from the very beginning to do it. So try to fulfill it. For intention is like the soul, and action like the body. And innamal a'malu binniyat, that the intrinsic worth of works only depends on the intentions that lie behind them. That is, the life of the body is through the soul, and as the messenger of God has declared, لكل امرئ ما نوي فمن كانت هجرته إلى الله ورسوله فهجرته إلى الله ورسوله ومن كانت هجرته لدنيا يصيبها أو امرأة ينكحها فهجرته إلى ما هاجر إليه. That every man receives what he has intended. So, how sometimes most of us like ask this question, like, how things are basically in our nasib, in our destiny. Like, why is this in my destiny? Why is this thing, like, it's like something that you're fated for. You're meant to be for something from, before. There are some people who are like meant to be in your life, for example. It's not like by an accident or something. So this is what it's telling us over here, that every man receives what he has intended. One who has migrated towards God and his messenger migrates towards God and his messenger. And one whose migration is to achieve a mundane purpose or to marry a woman, his migration will take him to the intended goal of his migration. So, a good work accomplished with the intention to seek nearness to God will certainly achieve its due perfection in accordance with the statement of God. And again, there is a verse of the Quran that adds more to this, that there is no good in much of their secret conferences save him who enjoins charity and propriety and peacemaking among the people. So basically, what we understand from this verse is that it's very important to, when how we give charity, and it shouldn't only be for the month of Muharram and Safar, but throughout the year. So this is, if you make like a good intention in your mind of giving charity to someone, and you're giving charity to someone, then that is an action, that is a result of it, and you've done a good job. So try to enjoin in charity and peacemaking among people. Try to make peace, between fights. If you see like maybe two friends fighting, and if you're the one who tries to make a sulh or islah between them, then you're getting a lot of reward for it that you're not aware about right now, but you'll come to know later about it. The second point, the trait, which is of this Osaf al Ashraf, is called sincerity, okay, and truthfulness. Before I move on to sincerity, let's talk about truthfulness. So, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, above all descriptions, He has mentioned in the Holy Quran, again in this ayat of Surah number 9, verse 119. And He says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله وكونوا مع الصادقين. That all you who believe, observe your duty to God and be with the truthful, al-sadiqin. Sadiq is the root word that comes from sadiq and literally means speaking the truth and being true in one's promises. Now, here, by truthfulness is meant the truthfulness of speech as well as that of intention and resolution, and fulfillment under all circumstances of the promises made by one. So, let me ask you a question. When make friends in your lives, right? You've got a circle of friends. How do choose your friends? Based on what? And of course, I'm not talking about like kindergarten and nursery friendships. As you mature, as you grow, you actually understand the actual meaning of friendships in your life. And you prefer those people around you whom you can rely upon, whom you know are loyal, whom you know are trustworthy, whom you know are sincere, sadiq, right? So if they tell you something, then they're telling you the truth. And if you ask them for a favor and they tell you that they'll do it for you, and they'll do it for you, now, those are the real people that you actually need in your life. So, Siddiq is one who is truthful in all these matters as a matter of habit, and that which is contrary to fact in whatsoever manner, neither itself nor its trace is found in him. And then there are a couple of people, who like give you these high false hopes that, okay, we're going to help you out in a certain situation, we're going to provide you that status and the kind of money and all these kind of things, but at the end, due to a couple of social reasons or social factors, they withdraw from their statements and they turn their backs on you sometimes. And how do you feel then? You feel like you've been sort of betrayed, right? So in a very similar situation, the attribute of a good human being, a good person, as I've mentioned from the Osaf Ashraf, is that a person should be very, very truthful and sadiq. So even if this person has, for example, made a mistake, committed a sin or something, and obviously it's not easy to confess our mistakes sometimes, when someone does wrong. Like, have you noticed kids as well? when they probably break something in the house or drop something on the floor, there's that look on their face, and they look at the parents that what's going to happen now. And when you ask them that, did you do that? And then, they say, no, it wasn't me, right? So that's just, of course, I'm just giving a simple example, a very childish one. Some children are very, well trained, and they know how to speak the truth, and they say that yes, it was me. And that's what the parents should teach them from a very young age. That it's fine if you've done it, you can tell us. You don't need to hide about it. I mean, it's not like the world has broken, the world has ended or something. It's just something normal. It's a materialistic thing, so it's fine. So, this is a simple example that I'm giving, that if you as an adult have made a certain mistake, and now you need to confess it to your friend and tell them that you've done something wrong. So, how do you react to such a situation? You need to be truthful now, because if you're going to lie about it and you're going to conceal and hide, then it's going to make matters worse. They say that for that moment it might save you, but then later on, the friend would definitely feel hurt and betrayed that you didn't tell him the truth. So better to tell the story there and there, that this is what happened and what's the solution now. The question rather should be that, what's the solution now? How can we fix this? So that is the best way to go about it, rather than lying. Yes, sometimes white lies are said, and that is, of course, if you're saying it to save someone's image or reputation in front of someone, then that's a different case. That is still acceptable. It's allowed to a certain extent, but the real lies should be avoided as much as possible. Now we're moving on to the final point, and that is truthfulness. Uh, Sorry, not truthfulness, sincerity. So sincerity is the ikhlas, meaning that how mukhlis are you, how deeply sincere are you. The Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions in the Holy Quran in Surah number 98, verse number 5, that وَمَا أُمِرُوا إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُوا اللَّهَ مُخْلِصِينَ لَهُ الدِّينَ. And they were not commanded except to worship God, keeping religion pure for Him. So khulus actually means pure. When we say that something is very like khalis, like, have you ever heard of statements, for example, this is a very khalis milk, like, in Urdu we say khalis doodh. So it's like, this is a very pure, milk or ghee or something like that. I don't know, they say like that. So ikhlas in, uh, Persian means to make exclusive, like to purge a thing of everything else that has mingled with. And that which is meant here is that all of one's speech and action should be for the sake of seeking nearness to Allah the Exalted, and exclusively for His sake. Ala lillahi dinul khalis. Indeed, to God belongs sincere religion. So the opposite of sincerity is that there be some other purpose mingled with it, such as the love of honor and property, good name, or the hope of other worldly reward, or salvation and deliverance from the chastisement of hell, of which are signs of shirk. And shirk is of two kinds, open and concealed. Open shirk is idolatry, and all its other forms consist of concealed shirk. And the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may God bless him, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad, has said that niyat al-shirk fi ummati akhfa min dabib al-nimla السوداء على الصخرة السماء في الليلة الظلماء. Amongst the people of my ummah, intentions contaminated with shirk are more invisible than the creeping of a black ant on a black rock in a dark night. So, shirk is the most destructive obstacle for the seeker of perfection in wayfaring. And why did I mention about this? Is because sometimes we, within our, acts of worship, within our daily amals, within our sincerity and truthfulness, sometimes forget that when we lack that bit of pureness, that khulus within our, dealings with people, for example, or within our normal ibadat. For example, you can't be double faced with a person. I mean, that would again call out for this sort of a trait that you're not being honestly pure with this person. If you're being double faced with him, meaning sometimes you're, being very, very truthful, and then when it's his absence, during his absence, when this person is not around, you're, playing a double game, right? So again, we're seeing that sort of concealed, shirk over here in your actions, which is unappreciated and discouraged by Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So when we are attending these majalises, let's make sure that we carry these traits of intention, truthfulness, and sincerity within us, and try to apply them in our daily character development. So that was all for tonight, and we will be bringing in a new topic for tomorrow from the same book. Uh, Inshallah, see you in the next episode. This is your host, Sakina Habib. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.